On today's show, the Los Angeles Lakers lose to the Utah Jazz. We'll tell you why Russell Westbrook is turning the corner. Plus, we'll give you the definitive case for why LeBron James should be first team All-NBA. Talk about all that and more on today's Locked On Lakers. Let's go.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Los Angeles Lakers. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making Locked On Lakers your first listen every day. Remember, Locked On Lakers is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, where you can subscribe to this show. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, and contributor at Lakers.com, the Laker Lord, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
You know who's getting disrespected right now?
Tell me.
It's LeBron James.
I've been saying this, and you've been saying this to me in private and text all the time.
The amount of people who call him the washed king, you know who's not washed? LeBron. Leading the league in scoring at his age. You know how many gray hairs he has?
30 points at 37.
There's nobody else that's doing that right now. There's nobody else that's running like that, that's talking to the refs like that. There's nobody else that has, you know how many excuses that he can come up with? That's first team All-NBA quality. And for him not to even be considered for first team All-NBA, it's ludicrous. It doesn't make any sense.
You know what else is ludicrous?
April Fools! April Fools! Let's go!
On today's show, we're going to make the definitive case that Luka Doncic should be first team All-NBA. And then we'll tell you the rest of our All-NBA ballot. It was tough, but we made it happen. We'll talk about that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Hey, Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Thank you to everyone that is helping us get to 12,000 subs before the playoffs. We are less than 300 away. So I know that there's 300 of you at least watching right now that are not subbed. Just click the button. Click the sub. Click the button.
Just click it.
And then comment below. Answer the question. I always put a question down there. Answer the question. Comment. The comments help us a lot. So the more you comment, the more it helps our videos. Appreciate you. And joining me, as always, my co-host, contributor, writer at Mavs.com, the youth pastor, preacher, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
I am excited to talk about this subject, to be honest, because I found myself getting more passionate about this, about All NBA.
Me too.
And this might crush some Mavs fans' hearts right now, but honestly, I think Luka's kind of out of it for MVP. For the fact of, I say out of it, I don't think he can surpass like Jokic or Giannis at this point.
No,
and with voters, but I think he should be in the top 5. I'm saying what I think voters will do. I'm not. Yes, Luka should be. But.
This is not about my heart. This is about the voters.
Exactly. But All NBA, I am 100% so passionate about this, and I'm ready to fight anybody who doesn't think Luka should be first team All NBA.
So let's just look at Luka's chances. Let's get into it. Let's make the case. So for Luka, it's first or second team. There's no conceivable universe where he's third team, right?
No, not at all.
So we'll just throw that at the table. And so if you start looking around, okay, what are the things that are going to get in Luka's way in order to stop him from getting first team All NBA? Okay, so the guys he's going up against, he's going to be
eligible to be voted for.
He's eligible to be a forward and a guard.
Okay.
I don't know if that changes a lot, but I think he's going to go in as guard. The way that the voting works, if a voter votes him more often if voters vote him more often at guard than at forward, then he is a guard, and all those votes count for him as a guard. Right? So if like 51 people vote for him as guard, 50 people vote for him as forward, he's a guard, right? And he just counts as a guard. All those votes go to him for a guard. So I don't think they cannibalize each other either, which is good. That's going to help Embiid's case later. We'll talk about that. But Luka can be eligible at both. I think he's going to be as a guard. And so if we look with him as a guard, his competition, I think, is just Booker, Curry, and Ja.
Yeah. So for me, I looked at it with 6 names and it's like, hey, because I just threw out some names that we've begun to hear about. Because I think DeRozan and Tatum are probably thrown in there. Just based off hearing different pods,
DeRozan and Tatum are both eligible at forward and guard as well.
So for me, when I started doing my research into this, I looked at those 6 guys: Tatum, DeRozan, Booker, Steph, Luka, and Ja. And when you just start comparing those 6 guys, just go across the board. Like, go, if you have a StatHead subscription, do it that way. You can do all 6 in there and just look at different categories. Like, take out record at first, but look at different categories. Who leads in points between all 6 of those? Luka. Who leads in assists per game? Luka. Who leads in rebounds of all 6 of those? It's Luka. Better field goal percentage? DeMar DeRozan.
You and me did this exact.
Well,
no, it's good. No, we're on the same page.
The best 3-point percentage between all of them, Steph at 38. The most wins out of all 6 of them, Devin Booker. So then you get to something that is a little bit more opinionated. Well, who has the best team around them? Who has the better teammates out of all 6 guys? And my question to do that exercise with is, if you fantasy drafted all of the supporting cast, you combine all 6 of the teams, you're looking at the Bulls, Celtics, Suns, Grizzlies, Warriors, and Mavs. How far do you have to draft until you get to Dinwiddie or Jalen Brunson? Because it's pretty far down there when you start comparing the supporting cast between, because that's the Booker thing that I just don't understand. Of like, if it came down to Booker versus Luka, I get the Suns are on a historic pace and like all this with wins and all of that. But Devin Booker's supporting cast is so much better than what Luka has in Dallas.
Yeah, I might take 3 Suns before I take another player off the board.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just look, how many Bulls do you take before Jalen Brunson or Dinwiddie? How many? I mean, you're taking Jalen Brown.
At least Levine.
Yeah, you're taking Jalen Brown from Boston. You're taking definitely Chris Paul, probably DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, maybe Bridges.
Maybe Mikal Bridges. Memphis, maybe Jaren Jackson out of that.
Desmond. I would take Desmond for sure. He's had an incredible year.
Ooh. Desmond Bane over Dinwiddie. Interesting.
Tough, but
either way, it's tough. And then the Warriors, however you want to do that. My point is, I think
Desmond Bane is 18 points a game this year, shooting 43% from the field, and he's taken over at point guard when Ja Morant's not there. He's the reason why they're 18-2 when Ja doesn't play, or 19-2 now.
And he played down the street college basketball.
Stop it.
So then you look at the Warriors. So then I do a reverse question and say, who has the worst team around them out of those 6 teams? I think the argument is it's either Dallas or Golden State, right? Like around Steph, you're looking at a not 100% Clay
because of Draymond's injuries, Clay's injuries.
Yeah. So then it's like Jordan Poole and some of these guys.
Andrew Wiggins was an all-star starter.
True. Yeah, that's very true. So I just think when you look at, Luka's leading in these categories of those 6. I tweeted out the other night, as far as teams that have at least 48 wins. Obviously the Bucks have won recently and all that. Like, they're a top 3 team in their conference. And Luka is average. He's the only player in the league that's averaging 28, 9, and 8 on 45% from the field. The only player in the league doing that. And I took it a step further to bring a historical context to it. How many times has somebody finished the season averaging 28, 9, and 8 with at least 45% from the field? It's only happened 5 times in NBA history. This will be the 6th. You know who actually did that? 4 of those was Oscar Robertson in the 60s. The 5th one was Luka Doncic in 2019-20. And now the 6th time that's happened in NBA history is Luka Doncic 2021-22 season. And they're the 3rd seed in the West. There's no freaking way that Luka Doncic is not on first team All NBA. There's just no other way around it.
If you're taking it just with the guards, I put him up against Booker, Curry, and Ja. If you're trying to make the case, Booker's been trying to get an MVP. Curry, Ja Morant, his team's better. Ja's team is better. Okay, yeah, Ja's team is better for sure. The team has been better without him. That case has been made a million times. But just of those guys, Luka is leading them in points, rebounds, assists, PER, offense, and defensive box plus minus, VORP, and Luka's been playing better defense than all those guys too. Like, let's put that in this case too. Booker, Curry, and Ja. Luka is playing better defense than those guys. Like that has to be part of the case too. We're making that same case for Giannis and Embiid and all these other guys, and for Jokic too. He's become a better defender. That has to be part of the equation as well. And the fact that the Mavs have the same number of wins as the Bucks. Like the Mavs would be they would be close to number 2 in the East right now, with a shot at a real shot at number 1 by the end of the season. So if you're trying to just compare, like there's a good chance that they'll have the 3rd best record in the NBA by the end of this season. That's wild, but it could happen.
So that's the thing, that when you look at these guys, I think it's safe that he has passed up Steph. Steph's numbers have went down, a little bit. They've dropped a little in the standings, but especially with Dallas moving up to that 3 spot, then I think one of the most crucial stats when it comes to All NBA is games played. So when you look at these 6, Tatum is at 72, DeRozan's at 71. Devin Booker's at 65, Steph 64, Luka 60, Ja Morant 56. Now, Steph will probably finish at 64 games.
He's not going to play another game.
The rest of How many more games does Ja play? Does Ja finish at 56?
I think he would. I think he would.
57 maybe. So he's not even going to play 60 games. Luka's probably going to finish at 65 games, and unless he sets out
65, 64. Yeah, he may set up the last one or whatever.
Yeah, so everybody has their cutoffs when it comes to games played for All NBA, and then it becomes a slippery slope at that point. It's like, well, if they've missed.
Oh, here we go. We're gonna have an argument later.
I'm saying
you and I are gonna have an argument later.
But everybody has their mark on it of, well, okay, they've missed 11 games. Well, you know what? Well, this player's only missed 13, and it's like, well, that player's only missed 15, and it's like, okay, well, when do we stop at this point? So, I think that's in the eye of the beholder of like what is your personal cutoff on that. I think there is something to Jayson Tatum playing 72 games. And honestly, well, yeah, we'll talk about who we have on there, but it's a toss up for me. Like, I think Luka, call me biased or what, I think Luka should have one of the guard spots locked in. And then for me, because of games played for Ja, I think it's a two-way battle for Devin Booker and Jayson Tatum for the other guard spot.
I think more voters are going to vote Tatum as a forward. And so I think it just takes him out of this. Him and DeRozan have played way more games. I mean, neither of those guys have played any games at guard. Like they always play with multiple guards next to them. So
and put Booker in there.
And so that's what I did I put Luka and Booker as my first 2 teams, and then I put Ja and Steph. It just you take them out a little bit because of all the missed games that they've had. And because Luka's been better, right? So you take all that into account. But coming up, we'll get into our all NBA ballots. Who else makes the roster? Who makes first team between Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, all those guys? The guards we seem to have sorted, but what about the rest of the NBA? And we'll continue our case that Luka should absolutely be first team all NBA. And if you're not, you may need to come to Jesus moment. We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Bet Online. Bet Online is the place where you go when you want to check out all the different odds and lines and scores and everything for the NBA, for college basketball. The games coming up, they have the Final Four. It's Villanova, Kansas, and Duke, North Carolina. Kansas, 4-point favorite against Villanova. I'm rooting all the way for Villanova. I want Brunson's team to win. I may even put some money on that. North Carolina versus Duke. Duke is a 4-point favorite against North Carolina. That game is going to be insane. Those two teams meet. Hopefully North Carolina gets that win for Theo Pinson, for Reggie Bullock, for Isaac Harris, and they're a 4-point underdog. If you're feeling strongly about either of those underdogs like I am, go ahead and check it out on Bet Online. Bet Online, it's where the game starts and it don't end. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen for your next listen. Check out the Locked On Now podcast, nightly recaps of every NBA game with analysis from our local experts. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Isaac Harris. All right, Isaac, we've been making the case that Luka is definitively first team All-NBA. Mavs fans on Twitter bullied Matt Moore, HP Basketball on Twitter, bullied him into moving him from second team to first team All-NBA over the last couple of days. MFFL's woke up to fight today, and they've been making the case. But I think there are still some people out there that may not be convinced that Luka Doncic should be first team All-NBA. So, Pastor Isaac, can you please explain to us and please help us get to that point where everybody is has Luka first team All NBA?
Yeah, well, Nick, I think it's time. Can I invite you into a moment? I think, I'm feeling something right now, and I just want to invite you kind of into this moment. Actually, I got to take my glasses off because I'm feeling this. There comes a time to where there's just something inside of you that could be just brewing. And I'm just going to ask something for all of our audience out there. Can we just all eyes closed, all heads bowed? I need you to examine something in your heart, that just longing for something else, that just, if you can you just all eyes closed, heads bowed. Can you raise your hand if you don't have Luka as a first team All-NBA? Just silently, just raise your hand. I see you. Yes. I see you back there in the back. I see you on the front row there. Okay. I see you, Bill. I see you. Thank you. Yeah. All hands going up all over the place. And can I invite you to take another step? Can I ask you, everyone with their hands raised, all eyes stay closed, that if you are voting for Luka Doncic second team All-NBA, can you come forward? Can you just make your way to the front? Yes, thank you. Okay. Now, I want to pray something special over you guys. Actually, I don't want to pray. I just want to smack you. This is the thing I don't understand. This is what I don't understand of how you can even think about Luka Doncic not being first team All-NBA. And I just thank you for coming to the front. I just line him up. Let's just do the Will Smith smack, and let's just move on. I just
some tough love from Pastor Isaac there.
Welcome to the church. But I don't know. I think the first of the season narrative it's stuck around for too many people. That yes, he did come into the season out of shape. I get that, but it shouldn't, like, he's having a historical statistical season. The Mavericks are the 3 seed in the West, and for some people's ballots, he's getting left off of that. And it's just, I don't understand it. He should be a lock. He should be a lock for a guard for his third straight first team All-NBA.
You can't do the Luka has no help. Luka's doing this all himself, and Luka also doesn't deserve to be, up there. Like, look at all these other teams, how they have much better supporting casts and all that, and then also say he can't be on there. But all right, let's get into the rest of our All-NBA ballots. Okay, so I have Luka and Booker as my first team All-NBA guards. Who do you have?
Luka and Booker. Yeah.
You settled with that too.
Yeah, I did. I think, and it's kind of crazy that you have to factor in where Phoenix, is.
How do you wear this inside? My head is so hot with this beanie on right now.
What? Do you know the Lord? Because
I guess not.
You have to be able to wear beanies.
These Carhartt beanies they're just too warm. It's too warm. I can't do it. Shout out to Locked On for these great beanies.
I just, where Phoenix is at, he is averaging 26 a game
wearing beanies.
In that, it's just what I don't understand, and this is what the things I don't understand is if it's Booker versus Luka, like, what does Booker have over?
Who's the other guard then? Ja?
I think for some people, it'd be Ja, but at 56 games, I mean, that's missing a lot of games there.
It's a lot of games. If that's going to be your tiebreaker, right?
But like, when you just do the head-to-head of Luka versus Booker, like, he averages more points, more assists, more rebounds. You look at field goal percentage, Booker's at 46%, Luka's at 45%. He's shooting 2% higher on 3-point percentage. I'm just doing like simple counting stats here. And he has the clear best supporting cast. He's on the best team in basketball. And so, like, I just don't understand the Booker argument over Luka. So I have Luka and Booker, and then, I mean, I just went ahead and put Jokic and Embiid together, thinking that voters will figure out some way to do it. And of course, Giannis. I mean, everybody's arguing about Jokic and Embiid and stuff for MVP right now. I'm still sticking to my guns. I think it's Giannis. I think Giannis should be the MVP.
That game he just played against the Nets, and the game that he played the other night against the Sixers was like him putting his stamp on this season. And man, he really is. Like, I think Giannis might win again for sure.
And I think they'll capture the 1 seed in the East.
I had 2 iterations of teams, and I went back and forth because Embiid's a center. Like, he's available at forward, sure, but like, if everybody wants to coordinate and figure it out, it messes up some things later. But if your first team does include Embiid, then it has to be Luka, Booker, Giannis, Embiid, Jokic, right? If you're doing that, if you're going that way, that's the only way you can do it. I don't think there's any other way that I could understand somebody doing.
No, that's where it's at. I think if Ja played the same amount of games as Booker, I think you could have that argument of Ja versus Booker. But I just and the thing that screwed the person who gets screwed if they don't do Jokic and Embiid together is Towns or Gobert, because
right.
You know, if this is the case and they'll both be on first team, then Towns and Gobert are the next two centers. But
I gave Booker credit that his team is almost 9 games better than the next best team in the NBA. Like, I gave him some credit for that, and I'm putting him in there too. And his stats are a little bit better and all that. So that's why I put him up there. Ja and Curry in the second team for sure. The next 2 team guards. Like, I don't think there's any other case that can be made.
For me, honestly, there's 9 players. That's pretty simple for me. It's, you know, once you get out of those top 5, then you're looking at Ja and Steph in the backcourt.
Yep.
And then it's Tatum and DeRozan. And then you can argue over Towns or Gobert for second team if Jokic and Embiid's on that first team. If, let's just say they split it up. Let's say, you know, Jokic or Embiid is on the second team All NBA. One of them's on the first team, and you have to have the other guard or another forward spot. I think Jayson Tatum deserves the other forward spot in the first team if they have to split them up.
Correct. Yeah. If you have to split them up, this is another way. Another way you can do it. You have to have Tatum in that first group. Then I think. It'd
just be like Tatum and Embiid switching, basically.
Basically, yeah. That's basically what it is. And so I went my eventually one. I decided to just put Embiid second. I did the Bill Simmons whole like Russell and Wilt had to do the first, second team All NBA for their whole entire career. I'm like, yeah, okay. That's what we're doing. We should change it to it's just the 5 best players. Would that change anything for you if it was the 5 best players?
I wish it was like that. I wish they would just keep it. Yeah, I hate how they
5 best players. I think I would take Tatum. I would put Tatum instead of Booker.
Tatum over Booker.
Tatum's actually available at guard.
Yeah, probably.
Could've
you know what? Somebody should write a book about creating new positions.
There you go. All right, let's finish out our All NBA teams coming up. But before we do, I got to tell you about Built Bar. Shout out to.
I can't wear this crap anymore.
I'm telling you, beanies inside are so hot. Shout out to Schick Luke, S-H-I-K, Schick Luke, who said, "We've seen y'all eat fruit cups and all, but I've never seen y'all eat a Built Bar. Anyone can take one out of a wrapper." So here we go. Isaac Harris and I opening a Built Bar. This is the coconut brownie chunk. This is the one I've been talking about. People said that Nick is getting flavors sent to him. I bought this one, coconut brownie chunk. I bought it a while ago. This is my second to last one.
Isaac, what's this guy's name? Is this Sevens again? Sevens. Do I need to come at you, bro?
This is Luke. Shout out to Luke on YouTube. We're eating these Built Bars. Delicious. Look at this. Look at this sucker.
You're going to read. You're going to eat this while you read it?
Yeah, I remember I did this the first time. It was a really bad idea, like a long time ago. Built Bars are delicious. They're absolutely great for you. Check out the Puffs as well. 140 calories, 17 grams of protein, 6 grams of sugar in a bar covered in 100% chocolate. Look at this 100% chocolate on this bar. Delicious. With brownie chunks on top. Nothing beats
the peanut butter one.
You got the peanut butter one. Nothing beats a Built Bar when you need a snack. Check them out at built.com. Use the promo code. I have to actually choose.
The promo code.
Use the promo code LOCK15. 15% off at built.com.
Our best stuff comes in ad reads. Listen, guys, you heard it here first. So you're at the altar right now.
I took way too big of a bite of that Built Bar that I should have. Isaac. All right, Isaac, let's get into the rest of our team. So I think we're in agreement. We're in agreement except for the Embiid, the weird Embiid Jokic like forward center thing.
Yeah.
My second team then, I decided to go Embiid just second team center. I sucked it up and said he's going to be a center. He's played center. He's not played with another center this whole year. Put him at second team. Then I had Ja, Curry, and my next two, my forwards, second team were Durant and DeRozan.
On the third team? On the second team?
Second team.
You put Durant on this? How many games has this dude played? 49?
I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this. I knew we were gonna have a fight about this. Here's the case for Durant.
Oh, give me the case. But besides missing, 30 games,
He's played 50 games. He's gonna play 55 total by the end of the year. That's 67% of the season. That's enough for. That's 2/3 of the season. That's enough for me. He's played 12 less
games missed.
12 less games than Giannis. 10 less than
massive chunk.
10 less than Luka.
Good chunk. Yeah.
7 less than Ja Morant.
Okay.
5 less than LeBron. 4 games less than Jimmy Butler. Like, the difference between some of these is just not a lot to me, right? And he's just better. He's just better than all the other forwards. Who else are you going to put to take his spot? This year, when he plays, Brooklyn is 32-17. They're 8-19 when he doesn't. The difference between the Heat and the Nets, so where the Nets are in the standings and where the Heat are, the number 1 team, is the difference between Phoenix and Memphis in the other bracket. So like they're not far off from the top there. The East is just weird this year. He's averaging 37-6. He's been absolutely incredible, shooting 52, 38, and 91 from the field. They're not, 52% from the field, 38% from 3, 91% from the free throw line. And then who's taking his spot? Is it LeBron? Is it Siakam? Is it Butler? What other forward is going to come in here and convince me that he's been better, that much better than Kevin Durant, that I don't put him at that spot?
It's tough because.
And JJ Redick said he's the best player in the NBA.
No, I mean, I get that. I mean, if you're going into a game 7 and if you're picking one player you want for a game 7, I'm picking Kevin Durant. So I get that part of it, but you have to factor in the season part. And for me, just like we did on the play-in, it just has, like, at some point, games played have to.
Listen, we've done this. You and I have done this for years. I was Embiid for Rookie of the Year. You were Brogdon for Rookie of the Year. Like, we've been doing this for a long time, the games played thing. 67% of the season, especially this season, is fine with me. He's not Paul George, where he's played only like 30 games or something like that, right? It's enough games. It's definitely over half of the season. It's 2/3 of the season. And he's played, only 7 less games than Ja Morant. Like, 7 games is not a big enough difference for me to just disqualify you.
Slope.
The slippery slope, you get to take each one as it comes. And this one, I've decided that it's enough games. He's been good enough and he's played enough games, especially if he gets to 55.
And so that's just where it's personal preference. I think some people will be like, hey, 20 games is my mark. Like, I'm not going, if you miss over 20 games.
No, see, I think it's a mistake to just put like a number on it. You have to just take each case by case, especially this season. Like, what was that stat that, Followell tweeted out a stat about Dwight Powell may get to 82 games this year. Dang. Yeah, there's only 5 to 7 games left for each season. This is Mark Followall on Twitter. Only 7 players have a shot to play in 82 games. Dwight Powell, Kevon Looney, Franz Wagner, Denny Avdia, Sadiq Bey, Mikal Bridges, and Buddy Hield. In the last 5 82-game seasons, so not counting the shortened couple last seasons, an average of 22 players each season appeared in all 82 games. So, like, there's a ton of players are just missing games this year, like all across the board. And so I think, especially in this season, games played takes a back seat for me.
I mean, yeah, I see all the argument, but at some point you have to have a cutoff. And for you, your cutoff, and like, I mean, why not have Paul George? Like, you're cutting off before Paul George, but you're not cutting off for KD. So at some point you have a cutoff. It's just, it doesn't count Kevin Durant. So, and that's fine. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's like everybody has a different opinion on that. And for me, missing 27 games, that's just hard for me. Like, I would almost listen
out of an 82 game season.
Yeah. 27 games is a lot of games. And
you're going to miss like 30% of the season. That's it.
I know. But it's also not like, I know I get all the struggles that Nets team has had as far as roster wise and the whole season, but
you should get all NBA just for putting up with Kyrie Irving this whole season.
But you're barely in the play-in, right? Like, you could be 9 or 10 in the East.
Yeah, but they're 32-17 when he plays.
I get all of that. I'm just saying, but I think that the biggest counter to that is, well, who do you have to replace him? Like, that's your biggest argument to the thing.
Yeah.
Because I think he deserves it over. So let's just look at Siakam. I think Siakam has a pretty dang good case for it. Like
For sure. I got him on my third team. Yep.
Yeah, 22 points, right at 50% from the field, 36% from three. And he's probably the best player on this Raptors team that's going to avoid the play-in. Like, that's ridiculous.
I talked to Sean Woodley, Locked On Raptors host today, and like, let me tell you, my guy sent me an entire paragraph in a text, like an entire full page about Siakam's like all NBA status. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's definitely getting on my ballot for sure. Siakam deserves one. He's been the motor and the engine for their offense. He's the reason. He's like been their entire offense this last stretch. Van Vliet has missed some games. He's shooting really well. He's played a ton. He's been back. He just has a better case than Jimmy Butler was my initial question. And then, if you start reordering your teams around, he has a better case than any of these other guards that could possibly make it too.
Yeah. So let's just do the same case you did and put Tatum on first team, put Embiid on the second team.
Yep.
For me, it's Ja, Steph, Tatum, DeRozan, and Embiid. So who is off of it for you?
So to me, it was just Durant for who was the other forward?
There's no way you can have Jayson Tatum third team.
No, I have him first team if we have Embiid second team.
Oh, okay. DeRozan and Siakam. So
I have Durant. So I put Siakam third team and I have Durant second team.
Yeah, so I think what it could come down to is when you get to this third team, in a weird way, it could be a LeBron versus KD argument.
That's wild. It's true.
Like for a third team spot, because who's the other forwards at that point? You have Siakam.
Ooh, I do have Siakam. So my other guards are I haven't ended up going Chris Paul and Donovan Mitchell.
Okay.
After going back and forth a lot, but the Jazz have the number one offense in the NBA, and their offense is Donovan Mitchell. The Jazz are so weird. In my first iteration, if I put Embiid as a forward, I had Rudy Gobert and not Donovan Mitchell. But if I have Embiid as a center, then I have Donovan Mitchell and not Rudy Gobert. It's weird.
So
it was very Jazz centric.
This one is a little tough for me, because I actually have Trae Young over Donovan Mitchell. And because here's the thing. It's Trae Young. It's Trae Young in the East. It's LeBron in the West. And as much as it pains me, like, where does the individual stats come in? Because they're both 10th in their conference right now,
and they're like 30. They're like 30 and 10.
They're both like, yeah. And LeBron's leading the league in scoring right now. Trae Young is top 5 in scoring and top 3 in assists. So it's like, all right, he's averaging 28 and 9 a game. And it's like, it's so hard to leave somebody off the team like that. So
here's my thing with Trae Young.
Chris Paul's a lock for me. It's Trae versus Donovan Mitchell for me.
Here's my thing with Trae. So he's played more games than Donovan, right? Like, he's played 10 more games than Donovan Mitchell.
Yes, that was one of my arguments. Yeah.
Guess what? The Hawks lost all those games. Like, he also has 10 more losses on his docket than Donovan Mitchell does. And yeah, like, eventually, like, for me, your team success matters a lot. And so, like, when KD plays, the team is way better. And so when Trae Young has played this year, his team is 36 and 34, like, just barely over 500. Which is like fine, but if I'm gonna make it my tiebreaker between a couple guys, Donovan Mitchell is 39 and 24 when he plays. Could be 40 by the end of the night if they beat the Lakers, which they should.
I'm all here for this. Like,
that's a big difference. That's like,
I'm not like married to this one. I put Trae versus Mitchell for this spot. So I lean winning a lot. It's just hard. It's harder for me. Even like LeBron, if somebody could lead the league in scoring and not make an All NBA team, I think that's really difficult to do. And I think it definitely favors him because the forward class is kind of weaker because of, Kawhi, Paul George being out, and then some of these games play because, what's the other spot?
Like, I know it's so tough.
You have 2 forward spots. I mean, Gobert is going to be third team probably.
No, it's Towns, but
okay.
I have Towns instead of Gobert if I have Mitchell
at all.
I don't have Gobert at all in this first iteration. Like, this first iteration I did. If I'm putting Embiid as second team center, then Karl Anthony Towns third. Well, I have Donovan Mitchell. I have his guy.
So you're looking at what? LeBron, Siakam for you. It's Durant for me. Jimmy Butler. I mean, outside. It's weird that this Heat team can finish 1 or 2 in the East and not have anybody. but Bam has missed a ton of games. So then who's it after that? It's not, Kyle Lowry. So it has to be Jimmy, but Jimmy has missed a decent amount of games this season.
I know.
So
he's missed a bunch. And I reached out to the Locked On Heat guys and I said, okay, if I have one spot left and I have to put Butler, Siakam, or LeBron, give me the case for Jimmy Butler. And they said, you should just pick LeBron.
well, they're probably loyal to Spo. So
he said the case for Siakam and LeBron is that they didn't fight their coach last week. That's what Wes Goldberg told me. I thought that was really funny. So I went back and forth. The thing about LeBron, his team is 25-30 when he's played this year. I get all the numbers and stuff like that.
Tell me more.
I just could not get over the fact that his team is not good when he plays even.
Wow. That's some people's king out there.
He's the second best player of all time. He's averaging 37 and 6.
Top 5, but
30 points, 7 boards, 6 assists, leading the NBA. It's gonna stop top 5. Get out of here. Top five. I think it's safe to say he's a top 5 player of all time. It's top 5 the same way that Reddick told Embiid that he was top 3. It's like, I'm not gonna tell what numbers they are, but you're up there. And he's gonna make one of these teams. Like, not all voters are gonna vote like me, but
LeBron cannot make second team. I'm sorry.
He may, but
he can. It will be dumb.
He may, but
I did the Trey LeBron thing on the third team because this is where it normally gets weird for voters. It's normally
just go with individual.
Yeah, normally it's this team that gets the high stats on bad teams, guys, the Brad Beals of the world type of players. And that's where the Trey Young LeBron cases will come in for this third team, probably.
I went with Jimmy Butler over LeBron.
Ooh, spicy. I actually put LeBron on there. I think what he's doing this year at his age is ridiculous.
I know. Jimmy Butler, when he plays the team like the Heat are 35-19. I know their stats are so different and all that. And Butler fought with his coach, and LeBron's numbers are incredible, but the team success is so different to me that it was enough that and their games played are about this. They're not that different. Like they're one off each other.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'll just give it to Jimmy Butler to give the Heat a representative. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they don't get anybody. They've just been so even and weird across the board. But I ended up putting Jimmy Butler instead of LeBron, and then Siakam is my other one, and then Towns is my third team All NBA center over Gobert.
So we did for a decent amount. I think I would put Durant on here on that third team with LeBron. I think you convinced me a little bit on that. But third team, and
yeah, if you're gonna put Trey Young, then we're qualifying all kinds of stuff today.
Trey has been pretty durable this year too. I mean, he's like
what he played 72 games.
He's played 70 games, so he plays.
Problem is they've lost 34 of those.
No, for sure, but it's just, I mean, he does put up ridiculous stats
for sure,
a lot of assists and stuff. So
for sure,
yeah. And I mean, so much of this is going to depend on what happens with the Jokic Embiid vote. And
I did 2 teams. I put together 2 teams because I was like, what if I want to do Embiid in first team? So then the first iteration of the team, I put Embiid second team, and that was the team that I just explained over and over.
Yeah.
If I put Embiid in the first team, it's Luka, Booker, Giannis, Embiid, and Jokic as first team. Then my second team becomes Ja, Curry, Tatum, Durant, and Towns. And then my third team becomes Chris Paul, DeRozan, Butler, Siakam, and Gobert.
I don't think DeRozan could be on third team. I think he has to be on second team.
Over Tatum, Durant, Curry, or Ja?
DeRozan should 100% be over Kevin Durant. 100%.
100%?
Yes.
Give me the case.
Better team, played more games.
Barely. Look at their records are not that different. The Bulls are 45-32. The Nets are 40-37. They have 5 more wins.
Yeah,
that's enough.
I mean, if you make it in the top 6, I mean, then there's 6, right? Yeah, if you make it in the top 5 of your conference,
hanging on. They're a half game ahead of the Raptors right now.
You've played way more games than the other player. And what's the differences in their per game averages? I mean, what's Durant averaging?
Durant's at 30 points a game. DeRozan's at 28. And then he's averaging 2 more. Durant's averaging 2 more or 1 more assist, 2 more rebounds. shooting better from the field all over.
DeRozan at 50% from the field. Yeah, I mean, DeRozan clutch stuff too. I think
Durant's 52% from the field.
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, Durant's the better overall player. I just think overall season, DeRozan's had a better overall season. 71
defensively, they're not close though.
Like he's gonna finish the season missing, 6 games this year, and they could potentially be a top 5 team in the conference. I think he should lock it up.
So
and
if they've
missed Levine, they've had all those injuries and stuff too. Like he's been the guy.
We want to talk about injuries and missing guys.
But he's a top 5 team. The Nets aren't. Like
they're 3 games difference. The Nets are 5 games back from the Bulls.
But the Nets are going to be in the play-in. I mean, it has to mean something that you're top 5 team in the conference.
It's the difference between second and third team.
I think so. I think DeRozan should lock in the second team.
I also give players a little credit just because they're just better. Like I'm just gonna look back and I'm like, that player's just better,
Yeah, well,
which should probably put LeBron over Jimmy Butler in my third team, but
you also have to have these other factors into it too, because we can watch Paul George and be like, you're better than DeMar DeRozan.
Oh yeah, it doesn't make my case, but it breaks some ties here and there.
Exactly. And it's like, is Karl Anthony Towns the better overall player than Rudy Gobert? Probably, but
he's
Rudy
not the
Gobert,
greatest shooter of all time though.
That's very true.
I feel like we just have to say that every time we bring his name up.
Oh yeah, 100%. Greatest big man shooter. Timberwolves social team believes that. Shout out to those guys.
No.
Either way, full circle. Like if Luka lands on second team, I'm not.
He's not gonna care. The team is still gonna celebrate. Blah blah blah. All that stuff. We are gonna care.
It will be. I'll fire off some tweets and stuff. How dumb it is. Who makes it in over him. Yeah, I hope it's not it's him versus Ja and it's very clear like that in the rankings, because then it's just going to add this animosity with Mavs fans about Ja thing, and I hate the Ja versus Luka stuff. But I just don't. I mean, with the success that Memphis has had without Ja, and the fact that Ja's missed so many games, and then when you compare even their statistical numbers too, and they're only a 1 spot different in the standings, I don't think there is a case for Ja over Luka for All NBA.
Me either. That's it. Pastor Isaac, thanks for joining us today. We will be back with the Mavs played the Wizards tonight on Friday. If you're listening, watching this on Friday, we will have a post game for you. We will absolutely have you covered. The Kristaps Porzingis Bowl is back for the Mavs. So make sure you're following, subscribing, comment below if you haven't already about your All NBA. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs. Have a great Friday.
Peace out.
Boom.